welcome to our meditation time. Let's settle in. Whether you are doing this right here with us live or you're listening to this later on, I encourage you, wherever you are, just get comfortable. Give your body physical comfort. Give your eyes a chance just to close gently and stop all the distractions that are around you for just a few minutes. Give your heart a chance to find a little stillness, a little respite. Let all the things just go that have really consumed your time and your thoughts and your energy today. Even if they were good things, just let it all go. And really allow yourself to be in this present moment, here and now. And so together, let's just take a few breaths, just a slow, deep breath in. And a slow, full breath out. And breathing in. And breathing out. One more together. And exhale. And then I would invite you just notice with just those 3 breaths how the emotions, the body, the mind begins to shift just a little bit. So imagine if after 3 intentional breaths that we feel just a little bit better, what could happen in our daily lives if we breathe with intention all the time? We really want to use this breath as an ally, as an anchor to not only the present moment, but also to this sense of equanimity that we feel right here. Where we don't feel like things are being pulled apart at the seams and going all the different directions, but we feel center, grounded, steady. And so as we continue on this journey of looking at all the different aspects of mindfulness, I settled this in this way because I want us to think about the hardest part of this mindfulness practice, the thoughts. I hear all the time, oh, I want to meditate so much. I want to do these things, but you don't understand. I just can't turn my thoughts off. And the first answer that I try to come back with is an encouragement of meditation doesn't ask us to turn our thoughts off. It does ask us, however, to be a witness to those patterns of thoughts, to the things that come across our mind when we try to be still and quiet. Not to change them, not to stop them or harness them, but to observe them. There's teachings for us within that observation. And so I want us to practice that just a little bit tonight. Learning just to sit with these thoughts. Getting out of our head that we're supposed to make them quiet, or we're supposed to make them stop. So I'd like for you to picture a river. I've used this analogy many times. John Kabat-Zinn talks about the same analogy in his mindful practices, because a river is this thing that we can all visualize when we think of just this flow and this movement within nature. So think about a river. Maybe it's the river that comes from the snow that's melting down the mountainside, and then this river just makes its way through the country, traveling, creating space that it needs to move, until eventually it gets to wherever it's headed and the water empties out into a larger body. But the water's not gone from the river because there's constantly more water being pushed down from wherever the top of the river is. And I have a feeling that most of us would recognize that that's exactly how we feel when it comes to our thoughts. That there's always more coming, and they never seem to stop. And even when they finally get kind of dumped out at the end, here comes the next round. So how do we ever have a chance to learn meditation, to experience this sense of calm and peace and equanimity when we can't stop the river? So John Kabat-Zinn, one of the greatest teachers of mindful practices that we've got, he said, our job is not to stop the river. Just like our job is not to stop our thoughts. But rather, we take a step out and we sit on the bank. That river continues to flow. That water continues to move. Those thoughts continue to come. But if we can step out of this metaphorical river of this barrage of thoughts that we have all day, someone said it was 70,000. Some days it probably feels like more than that. But if we could just step out of that flow and just watch them, our self-awareness would increase so very much. We'd start to notice which thoughts we want to follow. We'll notice which thoughts kind of want to drag us, that tend to have this pull on us. We'll notice which thoughts don't even make sense. And then perhaps most importantly, we'll notice which thoughts keep coming back. And we'll start to recognize patterns. Our job as we sit along the river, as we've pulled ourselves out of the flow of water and moved to the bank, our job is not to judge any more than when you sit along a river that you would judge the way the water's flowing. You just have an appreciation that it's flowing as it should. So what if, as we sit out like we're doing right here, we could appreciate these thoughts for what they could teach us? I know it sounds almost crazy because we thought we were going to learn to meditate so that we could get quiet. But I will assure you that as you begin to witness these thoughts, as you begin to almost befriend them, because you're not judging them, you'll recognize patterns. And then all of a sudden you'll notice that the pattern of the thoughts looks different. The distractions are not the same anymore. The things that used to pull you, grab at you, have lost their influence. The patterns that kept coming up, but that you stopped following, are no longer a pattern. Now the river's still flowing. The thoughts are still there. But they no longer control us. That is the beauty of this practice. I don't want to stop the thoughts. It's part of who I am as a human being. It's part of this experience of being alive. But I don't want to let them control me. And so what we're going to do is just sit with these thoughts. And I would encourage you, visualize in your mind's eye a river. Some of you have floated a river before, fished in a river, swam, collected things within the riverbed. Picture it. Picture the water running. You can almost see little spots of it that kind of white cap because it runs with force. You can see where it's bringing debris from upriver, tree branches and leaves and all kinds of things. You can see places where it's a little low and places where it's really high and deep. You can see the turns and the twist. And then just imagine as you see all those parts of it, that you look over to the left or the right side of you and you see that riverbank. And you take a step that direction and another step. And you climb up the side of that riverbank and you have a seat. The seat where you are now in meditation. And now we'll just watch. Watch the river flow. Watch the thoughts that come into your head, the list that you'll make, the tapes that you just keep playing again and again, the distractions. But what I would like us to do is just sit and notice. We're not going to jump back in that river. We're not going to follow along. Just notice. One breath in, we notice. One breath out, we notice. Let's just sit on the side of the river and get to know ourselves and our patterns of thoughts just a little bit better. As you continue to sit alongside that river, as I sit alongside mine, I want to prepare to close our time with some statements, some affirmations that will help us to understand who we really are. Oftentimes, our affirmations are positively worded. This time is a little different. So just continue to sit on that metaphorical riverbank, watch that water flow, and say to yourself, I am not the river. I am not the river. I am not the river. It almost sounds silly to think of, and it's an easy statement to say because there's no way we'd ever think of ourselves or identify ourselves as being the river. So let's extend that metaphor just a little more and say to yourself, I'm not my thoughts. I am not my thoughts. I am not my thoughts. I am not the river, and I am not my thoughts. As we prepare to close our time and rejoin the normal activity of your day, your evening, whatever that is, the thoughts are going to come. The overwhelm will be felt. The distractions will come. But we have two choices. We stand in the middle of that water and we just let it flow over us and around us and beyond. Or we step out and we observe. Our thoughts truly don't have the power to control us if we don't give them that power. So let's spend the days to come stepping out, observing, befriending these thoughts, noticing the patterns, learning a little more about ourselves as we say again and again, I am not the river, and I am not my thoughts. Namaste.